Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about Claude projects, and it's something that I absolutely love, but the biggest frustration that people have is that, you run out of messages way too fast. And I agree. When we're doing something that we're paying for, we shouldn't run out of messages. The reason that I love projects, though, is because of the organization, and also because if you watched the Sweet Shifter romance with Poppy, that was done with Sonnet, and it was a little over $13 just to make the actual prose, and then a couple more dollars to do the edits. So with Claude being $20 a month through projects, I'm actually able to do multiple novels a month versus, one 30K novella. So there's the cost savings, but what I'm going to talk about today is how I maximize my messages each time so that you're not sitting there, you barely get started, you're on a roll, you're having a lot of fun, and then you run out of messages. It will happen, but in this video I'm going to show you how we can hang on for as long as possible. And we're not going to be changing to haiku, we're not changing our style, we're keeping it normal, we're keeping it sonnet. Those are tricks that you can do, but I want to show you how we can keep it all with sonnet, with the normal style, and just go as far as we can. The trick is really to make our threads as brief as possible. And we're going to utilize the actual project knowledge as much as possible. So, we're going to start something simple, something easy. So I'm saying, hey, I'd like to make a cute novella, contemporary romance, and need an outline, a word count, and tropes that we're going to use. Think cozy romance. Now, the purpose of this video is not to start a brand new project. It's just to show you how we can use this for as long as possible before we run out. So we have this. Over here, I'm going to have the project knowledge. Cute, cute. Aw. So we have this. All we're going to do, copy it. If you want to change it, like if you're like, I really don't want a Chen last name because Claude does Chen repeatedly, then that's up to you. Or if you're like, hey, I don't actually like parts of this, totally fine. Add text, plot, word count, and tropes. Add content there. Good. Refresh that. Okay. Now, we're going to go back up here. Now, this is considered an artifact. White background, artifact, black background, console. Console is more the AI talking to itself. White is going to be what we're actually going to use. Now I'm going to ask for edits on this. I'm saying look at it and see if we need any revisions and look for repetition, please. Send it out. Okay, and then she's going to jump right into making those revisions. And I say, does the tone and structure feel like a cozy romance? It's going to do those edits. Looks cute. Okay. Copy that. Now you can absolutely put this, see how you can attach to Google Drive? That's fine. I do keep everything in Google Drive too. But for right now, for what I'm showing you, I'm just going to do it right here. So now we have chapter 1 done. Go back up here. Alright, so I'm saying please write chapter 2, please keep it in the same tone and structure as a cozy romance. Following chapter 1, please avoid repetition. This is to keep it on track. We're going to ask for edits at the end, same as before. I'm going to take a look at chapter 1. Okay. Cute. Do you see any areas that need revised and look for repetition? Does this follow the outline? Good. Content. Chapter 2. Ew, I don't like that I did that. Anyway, I spelled out 1 and then I did 2. My brain does not enjoy that, but that's okay. Moving on. Right, I'm saying let's start chapter 3. Please follow the outline, keep it in the same tone as the first 2 chapters, and avoid repetition. This reminds me a lot of, I'm sure you've seen him on social media, but he does the vintage recipes. The one who takes like a book like this where it's got mayonnaise for a chocolate cake. And yeah, he's a lot of fun to watch. Okay. This seems like a short chapter. I'm saying this seems like a short chapter. Revise it to make it longer. Check for any repetition we can cut and make any other revisions to improve it. In this video, I'm going to go until we run out of messages for this time chunk. Now you could keep asking it to, do more edits, but eventually it's going to get nitpicky and we don't need that. That's how we're going to waste messages. Okay. I'm okay with that. We're still going to do edits on it. There's chapter 3. Oh yeah, outline please. Looking good. See, if I was going to publish this book, which I'm not saying that I'm not, I'm just saying I don't currently have a cozy romance pen name. But if I was, I would include recipe cards with each chapter, because it seems like we're looking at a new recipe each chapter. And I also think that that would be really adorable. Especially if they looked vintage. I'm sure Ideogram could make that up. Saying, do you see any revision that needs to be made? Check for repetition 2, please, and make those edits. And also, if you notice, each time that it does something, it's making a new version. So you can see where the changes are made. Cool. We'll go with that. One of the biggest changes, or one of the big challenges, I guess, between Claude Pro projects and Oh, I have a light that's flickering. And Novel Crafter is that you can't actually edit these. If you see something that you need to update, you're going to have to go in and delete it and then re-upload it. I have that on one of my books that I'm doing with this. And we're going back through, and it has like 49 chapters. I'm on, I think, 32 right now. So the rest of the chapters are just kind of seeing, hey, do they still flow? You know, do we need to edit them? And then the outline's just going through. All right, so we're on chapter 5. Notice that I dropped the whole, please follow the tone, because at this point it's established. The tone is established, the relationship's established. We're on chapter 5. It's not that big of a book. Let's see here. How many chapters were there supposed to be? Okay. There's only 10 chapters total anyway. So we're halfway through. And as you see, we have messages. We're probably getting a little close, but we do still have messages. Okay. I'm saying, do you see any revisions that need to be done? And also check for repetition, please. So the biggest thing, if you've noticed, keep your threads as small as possible. Now I could do, the edits in one chapter, but for me it's a little clunky, because then I'm uploading 5, I'm saying, hey, revise it, and then I'm re-uploading 5, and that's just a little extra clunk and a little extra steps for me that I don't really need to be doing. I don't really want to do. So what I do is I do a chapter, I do the edits, I upload the chapter, go on to the next one. Okay, so we're strengthening structural edits in this version. Aww. He thinks things have been perfect between them. Things like could see and did smell. Things like that where it's a little passive and we can tighten it up. We can do that in edits. Okay, good. I like it. Refresh this. Not that we need to, but just because I like to. Chapter 5. Done. The little end things, it calls them kicker lines. I'm just going to edit them out. It's easier than fighting with it. And it's just something that Claude does. Now there's chapter 5. Please write chapter 6 and follow the outline. Center, look at where chapter 6 says. Yep. Aww. She's like, will you? And then he's like, be right beside you? Yeah, but for 47 more days. Aw, cute. I am a sucker for relationships that have kind of a time limit where there's kind of a need to move things along. It just creates a nice little outside pressure. All right, and then as usual, saying check for any repetition or revisions needed and make those edits, please. Doesn't really matter how you phrase this as long as it knows you're looking for revisions that are needed, you're looking for repetition, and you're giving it permission to make those edits. As you can see, we are still on Claude Sonnet. We have not changed to haiku. We can if we want to use haiku, but we have the ability to use Sonnet, and Sonnet's the big reason why I have projects. Right, this looks good. Book and beans. Okay, add content. Chapter 6. Okay, there we go. Chapter 7. Outline. Yeah, because we've got 3 more chapters to go. And this is an adorable little romance. Aww. Did you see that? He's like, they can either accept my, remote work or they can accept my resignation. I'm staying here with you. That was adorable. So cute. Okay. Martha being a little matchmaker. Go for it. Nope, I'm good with that. Go. Refresh just because. Please write chapter 8 following the outline. Send it. We're not on the resolution yet. 8, 9, 10. So 8, fundraiser brings him closer. He receives an offer to return to the city. That might have already been done. And then decides to start his own publishing house. Same as before, please check for any revisions needed, including repetition, and then make those edits. Now, if it seems like we're getting a lot done, we absolutely are. And the trick is not making these threads too long. Longer threads will use up your messages. Keep your big stuff in the actual files. And if you want to go through and really dive into the chapter, I would suggest addressing one thing, getting that revised chapter, moving on to a new thread, saying, all right, now we need to address this thing. Like, say your pacing is off and you want to address the first half of the chapter, or say your chapter is really long and it's in 2 artifacts, address it in chunks in individual threads. Yeah, I was gonna be like, no. Right. There we go. Alright, chapter 9, following the outline. Very cute. Okay. Do you like this kicker line? Where you're going to get rid of? Though he had to admit. No. I don't like kicker lines. I don't like them included. If you put in the files that don't use kicker lines, it'll help sometimes, but with something this short, I'm just going to edit them out. If we were doing like, a 100K book, one of my other books in Claude right now is 100K right now, it'll probably end up being 140K, then I would be like, no, you need to get rid of those. But this, not so bad. Like, this is a kicker line. It's just what Claude thinks would wrap up the chapter nicely, and it is cute, but not in every single chapter. I'm actually really surprised we might actually get the entire book done. Alright, so then we're here. Chapter 10. Following the outline. And then one of these threads after this is all done will be, hey, tell me the weaknesses of the book. Okay? Tell me the strengths of the book. Those are 2 different threads. Aww. That was adorable. So cute. Okay. Heated and check for repetition and then edit. Then each of the weaknesses that it comes up with will be one separate thread as we address that. That way you're not trying to handle all edits with one thread because you're going to run out of your messages really quickly that way. The whole point is just make these threads as short as possible. Alright, copy that, add that. 10, add content. Now, you also can't see how long each of these chapters are. It's probably a little shorter than 30K, but maybe not that much shorter. So now we're here. Tell me the weaknesses. All 10 chapters are there. Okay. I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go up here, add content, add text, weaknesses. That's way too many S's in that. Now it says that it's successful, but as we just saw, there's weaknesses. That's why I asked for weaknesses first. So I don't want it to be like, yeah, there's nothing that needs to be changed. There's a lot that needs to be changed. We're just also going to get a little bit of a little like, yay, things are good. Provide me with 3 different blurbs. Millbrook is a common AI one. It used to be more Willow Creek. Now we're seeing Millbrook a lot more. Alright, so we've got blurb 1, blurb 2, blurb 3. And it also tells you which ones that they lean more towards. So a contemporary romance, a cozy small town, literary women's fiction, some marketing hooks, taglines, perfect for fans of, key selling points, social media hooks. There we go. Now you may be like, oh my god, this is so many messages. How am I doing this? I'm not doing anything that you can't do. I have the exact same plan. Claude doesn't have different plans. It has the Teams plan, but that's only for business people. I don't have the Teams plan. I have the regular $20 a month plan. All I'm doing is making sure that my threads are short. So now I'm going to go look at the weaknesses. I'm going to address Lucas first. So I'm saying this weakness was identified. We have the weakness. Show me specifically where we can make these revisions and suggest the revisions needed. Send it out. Now you can have it do these edits, or you can do them on your own. That's up to you. Alright, so here we are. It told us exactly where and what to add. So now you could do this in multiple threads. Completely up to you. I feel like we got a lot done, and I also don't want to be bouncing in between. So what I'm going to do is say, can you provide chapter 2 with that revision that you mentioned? Provide it in one artifact so I can replace the current chapter. So it's going to give me a brand new chapter 2 with that revision added. So this is the current chapter. It's still going, which is absolutely fine. I mean, right now we're at 40 minutes and we have not run out of messages, and we're also getting close to actually getting revisions done. And we're addressing the first of the weaknesses. So I'm just going to put chapter 2 into the list. Now, one thing that you may have noticed, his ex is Sarah. His current girlfriend, partner in this book is Sophie. I'm not doing that. That's way too close together. We're not touching that. So we're back here. This is chapter 2 that we just did. So now we're going to get chapter 3. Once these are done, we're going to say, hey, is this still an issue? We're going to feed that weakness back. If it's an issue, we will readjust it and address it as needed. But if we fixed it, then we fixed it. Easy. So in 41 minutes, we are through the book, that very first draft. We did minor edits on each chapter for anything really glaring and any kind of repetition that we needed to do. Now we're doing those bigger edits. Again, we still have messages. So this is chapter 3. Once it gets done, I'm just going to replace chapter 3 with this chapter 3. Unfortunately, that means deleting the original chapter 3 because, of course, we can't update anything, but it's fine. If we were tagged into Google Docs, then we wouldn't have this issue. Okay, so now we have 3 done. It's funny that he's got cynicism about romance novels when, I mean, we're writing a romance novel, so. Okay, get rid of 3. Flop 3 back in. And you can even say chapter 3 revised for Lucas's backstory, whatever you want to do. But that is up to you. So that's chapter 3. Go back up here. What was the next chapter that needs to be touched? Alright, so there's 4. Now, if you don't agree with the revision, that's absolutely fine. If you're like, you know what, Lucas's backstory is fine, then don't do it. You don't have to. The AI would also be able to provide you with these recipes, so you don't need to actually go searching for them. Copy that. Get rid of 4. Add content. Chapter 4. Maybe if I could spell. Refresh that. See how big this content window is too? Like we're only at 12%. So you could easily do multiple books in this. Alright, go back up here. What was the next one that we needed to do? We need chapter 6. And then chapter 7. Eventually, this will tell us that we have 1 message left until whatever. The other thing is that you can't really, you can't organize these at all. So that may be something else that you don't love. Okay, chapter 6. Copy that. Get rid of this. Add this. Okay, now we need chapter 7. More kicker lines that I'm going to get rid of, but overall not terrible. So this was 7. Delete that. So now I'm going to open this up. I'm saying this weakness was identified. Do you feel like it was addressed thoroughly enough that it was no longer that big of a weakness? So this will tell us, do we need more edits? Or is what we did good? Okay. Now you could stop it here and just be like, you know what, it's good enough. It's a 30K novella. I'm not making a novel. Or you could go in and add more scenes. Okay. So that's chapter 2. It's still going. This is a much bigger chapter. As long as it still keeps with the cozy, I'm good with this. Okay. Chapter 2, get rid of that. Okay, then this was the next chapter that we need to address. Chapter 3. Now you can try to give it the list of weaknesses and say, hey, revise it completely per chapter, but you're not really going to know what it's revising specifically. So it may get a little, not really funky, but it may just get a little overwhelming trying to track all those changes. I like to revise one specific weakness until I'm comfortable with where it is, and then move on from there. Now, if this is a much bigger book, this is going to take you longer. You may go over the same chapter, 7 different times if there's different weaknesses. But, it really doesn't take that long. Now, there is a console message in here, which is this part. Which I'm going to have it remove. And make sure it didn't take it out the console. No, it's still there. No. I'm going to see if it actually copies it perfectly. I don't need to worry about it. Okay, that was chapter 3. Get rid of that. Add content. Add this. Yeah, it looks funky, but it's not the worst thing ever. You can fix that in revisions. Alright. Get rid of that message. Go back up here. What was the next one that needed to be taken care of? So that was 3. Now we need 4. As you can see, we still have lots and lots of messages. Well, you can't really see, but we're not running out of messages right this second. We've been able to do the entire novella and multiple passes on certain chapters. Alright. Copy that. Original chapter 4, add content. Right, next up. Chapter 5. Please provide the revised chapter 5 with your suggested revision. Then we have it continues on. We are still not out of messages. Okay, so it actually just revised. Did it tell me that 2 needed to be revised? Or 5 needed to be revised? Okay, 3, 4. Okay, no. So I asked for 5 without needing 5. And it gave me a more revised 5. So that's fun. Okay, we need to get rid of 5. 5, I do need 6. Then after 6, was it 8 or was it 7? Okay, no, so there was 5. Why did we jump from, oh god, that's annoying. 4, 6, 8. Alright. So we'll do 6, and then we'll be at 8. Eventually we will run out of messages. And then once we run out of messages, what I would do if, well, I wasn't planning to really work on this. This was more of a demonstration book, but it's actually really cute and I kind of like it. So once I run out of messages, I will be editing it. And I'll go through these first few chapters for edits. And then re-upload them. And then it'll give me more edits. And I'll be working on things like getting rid of the kicker lines, getting rid of those big AI-isms. Okay, so that's 6. Okay. Okay. Go. After this, I will ask it if it thinks that that character arc was made better. I am not going to redo all of this, but I do just want to hear that we're better than we were. I'm also going to double check with it that it still has a cozy vibe. So I don't want to go too deep into like the X and the backstory and completely lose the cozy vibe, because that would not help. But if we did happen to, and we need to find a balance between the two chapters, like if 8 was too much not cozy, but the previous 8 just needed more revision and more depth, we still have 8 in the messages. It's just not in the files. Right, grab that. Get rid of 8. Content. 8. Now go back up here. See how it says one message remaining until 12 p.m.? So this is going to be our one last message. But we did go over multiple chapters multiple times. We did get the entire first draft done and revised each of those chapters at least once. So, yeah, we got a ton done. Let's see here. So he got deeper internal conflict, more believable transformation, better integration of professional and personal growth, clearer stakes, more complex relationships. See, we're good. We fixed that first weakness that it pointed out, and we're good to start with the next weakness, which is, yes, no more messages. But we go to the weaknesses, and the next one, she's too perfect and well adjusted. Okay, we can fix that. We're just going to have to do the same way. This is a weakness that was identified. How do you fix it? Go back through. Were those changes made that were enough? No? Okay, go back through again. So far some of the chapters have been revised 4 times. And honestly, it just took a little over an hour to draft the entire thing and, do those revised chapters. So am I happy with the progress? Absolutely. I'm hoping that this video gave you some tips on how you can really utilize Claude so that it's not as frustrating, because yes, if you blast through an entire session in one thread, absolutely that is frustrating. I hate doing that. I've done that. That's why I suggest breaking it up. See, we made all of these different threads so that we could maximize our session. And this was one session. All right, thanks for being here. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I really appreciate you all, and I hope you find this video helpful, and I hope you give projects a try. Yes, it's frustrating when you run out of messages, but look how much we got done. So, thanks for being here.